12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Wednesday, January the 17th, 2024, and this is program number 1813 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. And in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can also get us at our website. It is rcisaintlucia.com. We're also streaming live on our Facebook platform. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And of course, be sure to like and share that as well, please, with your friends and family. And if you want to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. You can also use the WhatsApp app if you've got it. And that number to call in or message into is 724-0008. Again, save that number to your phone. RCI WhatsApp, it is 724-0008. Now, today we're going to be sending birthday greetings out to our Managing Director of Radio Caribbean International, Mrs. Tamara Gibson, and wishing her an absolutely fantastic birthday celebration. Hope she's having a great one indeed. Some interesting celebrities born on this day, including actor Jim Carrey, also former Golden Girls actress Betty White, starring Rose. Boxing great Muhammad Ali was also born on this day, as well as U.S. founding father Benjamin Franklin. A bit of history for today. And in the year 1912, on this day, Captain Robert Scott's expedition arrived at the South Pole 1 month after the expedition of Roald Amundsen of Norway. In 1920, the first day of prohibition of alcohol came into effect in the United States as a result of the 18th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. 1946 on this day saw the United Nations Security Council holding its first meeting, and that actually happened at Westminster Hall in England. And in 1991 on this day, Operation Desert Storm began, and that was a U.S.-led coalition bombing Iraq during the Gulf War. We now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. There's all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got glassware and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Jugosile, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, our guest actually today is going to be geopolitical analyst, Mr. Dennis Springer. We're going to be speaking to him in just a bit in the wake of the recently held Taiwanese general election that happened over this Saturday past, and we're going to speak about that in just a bit. But first, allow me to extend condolences to the family of the late Sir Leighton Felix Thomas. And Sir Leighton passed after a period of long illness at the age of 97. And some of you, of course, would remember him as being the first principal of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. He was born back in 1926, and in fact, he made it past his wife. He outlived his wife, Lady Marjorie Thomas, nee Alexander, who passed back in the year 2018. Sir Leighton, of course, was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of the West Indies back in the year 2003. A number of other national awards, including the St. Lucia Cross, royal awards such as Commander of the British Empire, OBE as well. And in the year 2008, he was in fact made a Knight Commander of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George. And of course, we perhaps will best remember him every time we play the national anthem. He, in fact, was the composer of the score, the musical score for the national song, and Sons and Daughters of St. Lucia. And so certainly we remember him and his national contribution, certainly a very sterling and significant one upon his passing at this time. Also, unfortunately, yesterday, the matter of crime on our island still is a matter of great concern, as we witnessed a fifth homicide, fifth for the year 2024. Of course, it's very early days to be able to make any kind of predictions or assumptions as to where the year is going to end up. It's like you perhaps looking at the first 10 minutes of a football match and trying to determine how that is going to continue to end up. But it's certainly not off to a very positive start. In just 16 days, already witnessing 5 homicides. Of course, what we've noticed in this instance is very somewhat, one could say, almost randomized spread across the country. We've seen in the Cashie Southeast area, in the Vayfor South area, and now we've witnessed within the past 2 days 2 homicides in the district and constituency of Grosley. And so certainly it is perhaps a reminder that crime can in fact impact anywhere, especially in a country so small such as ours. It is really always going to be a national issue. We should never think, well, if it's happening down in Soufrière, it's only the problem of the people in Soufrière, or if it's happening in Roseau, it's the people in Roseau alone who have to take responsibility regarding it. It's everybody's business, certainly, and we certainly have to be thinking about that. And it's a very difficult challenge, no doubt, for families who have to be dealing with the pain, the loss, the anguish, and certainly we heard from a family member of the homicide victim number 4, who unfortunately lost his life just at the age of 27, and that we speak of Mr. Canis Felicia. In fact, I think we have a clip available coming from DBS, produced by Miss Zane Romulus, where the father of Mr. Felicia speaks about his son and the difficulty and anguish of the family. Let's take a listen.
The police have identified the island's 4th homicide victim as 27-year-old Canis Felicia, a resident of the town of Grosley. Another male individual shot Felicia on the afternoon of Monday, January 15th in the town along Dauphin Street. A sad end to a life that could have gone differently, says his father and namesake Canis Philip. According to him, he tried to steer his son in the right direction. However, he failed to heed the advice and warnings of his father and chose the life of the streets.
From the moment he started going in the ghetto with the friends, I see what's going on. I tried living with him all the time. I imagine what one time I had to go to the judge to ask him if he can go counseling, do something, and he never take what he did for me, what I say to him, but he'll keep. I see that road he take, it was a long road. I tried to pray to him, I tried to show him, and all the friends I see been there, is either the cemetery or the hospital or jail, and he don't want to listen, I don't know. He just doesn't want to listen. But what happened to him now is very sad. I feel very sad of what happened.
Philip says he is heartbroken over his son's death despite his troubled ways.
I'm not feeling good, honestly. No. Especially my wife, she's mash up.
As the owner of a popular riding stable in the north of the island, Philip shared that he had taught his son the ins and outs of the business with the hope of passing it on to him someday.
I miss him, but when you see him, you see me. So to me, a banana tree will make a banana. So I would watch him all the time and say, tomorrow I just pray God that he would be a take over. You see, watch what I have for him. So I build a thing where he would follow my footsteps, but he didn't take it. So yeah, but and you see my son, you see my father. The picture of my father. Sometimes I talk to my father and say, my daddy, look your twin. And he'll be laughing, you know. So I don't know where he take that set from, I don't know. So we don't raise like that one. Like you say, you can bring the cow by the water, you cannot make it drink.
The father is hopeful the perpetrator will be apprehended soon.
Well, he had a fight with a young guy. But I from Groseille, I know he had a fight with a young guy. And the guy thought he would have beat him. He beat up the guy. And I feel he had give the guy a little cut. So I feel like now the guy retaliate and shoot him because he beat the guy. And that's what they called me and told me who shot him. The moment I went in the scene, next minute they called me and tell me he shot the guy shot him because of he beat the guy last week. So that's what happened. So he know himself and he know, I know he's him. He know that.
While he cannot change the current circumstances, Philip has shared these words of advice in hopes that someone would learn from his experience.
Please, I'm begging, if we can have our father who make a preparation for us, please try to stay by him and do good. That life is not reaching anywhere. I'm calling to the whole of St. Lucia. They could hear that little message, think twice, because there is no way when you lose your son, he can come back.
For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
And that clip, as I said, coming from DBS, thanks to them for that. And of course, that is a very, very sad story, and we're hearing this repeated so many times by so many family members who have to grieve and deal with it. And of course, a very sobering story and a sobering message from his father at this time. It's certainly, we are sometimes confronted with the pain, the emotions, but this time certainly a lot of detail and a lot of clarity of the challenges of that parents are facing in trying to keep their children on the straight and narrow and giving them opportunities. And unfortunately, sometimes these are not taken up. And we certainly are also seeing within this setting how very, callous things can be, that in terms of some of the conflicts that we're seeing. And we must continue to ask ourselves, how does it come to this point? Is there not better way of settling matters and seeing this idea that somebody does something to somebody else, and the action of the individual is not to seek redress from the official channels of justice that we have. They take it upon themselves to go out and exact their own what they seem to deem as being just. And this type of mindset is certainly not going to help us. And so this is really why it is also very important that people have confidence in the system of justice, that they have confidence that they can work through the system of justice, whether it is at the level of interaction with the police, having confidence that if they approach the police, they go into a police station, or they make a call to the police, that it will be treated at a level of seriousness, that there will be appropriate action, that information that will be provided will be done so in confidence, it will be treated with a degree of standards and professionalism. And that is also really, really important. I mean, there was that a certain clip that was circulating of an experience that one individual had in another country, and I think it'll be really good for, in fact, to even share that, because it's a bit humorous, one could say, but it is certainly part of the challenge that individuals actually have in dealing with the police and dealing with the justice system. that they want to be able to believe that this is taken seriously. And this, of course, is something that is apparently out of Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody, in fact, calling in to the police station. Let's just take a listen to this.
Good morning, WP Edward Street.
Hi, good day. My wife called this morning, probably about 2 hours ago, to report a home robbery. We are calling E999. They said that they would call the station, but nobody else has called us as yet.
Okay, so what you all doing? Staying at home and waiting for the police to call all you? You don't know where the station is?
Excuse me?
Do you know where the station is? St. Joseph Station?
Yes.
So why you all don't come in and make a formal report?
Thanks, man.
Huh?
I say thanks.
Okay.
And that sounds somewhat outrageous. I think we should just play it just one more time for the benefit of some individuals who may be shocked at what they've actually just listened to. Again, this is coming out of, apparently from Trinidad and Tobago, an interaction between an individual who has called the 999 emergency, and they would have expected that there was going to be some sort of action by that hotline and that emergency line, and apparently it didn't seem to work out that way, and certainly not in the minds of this apparent police officer who was responding. Let's take a listen again.
Good morning, WP Edward Street.
Hi, good day. My wife called this morning, probably about 2 hours ago, to report a home robbery. We are calling E999. They said that they would call the station, but nobody else has called us as yet.
Okay, so what you all doing? Staying at home and waiting for the police to call all you? You don't know where the station is?
Excuse me?
Do you know where the station is? St. Joseph Station?
Yes.
So why you all don't come in and make a formal report?
Thanks, man.
Huh?
I say thanks.
Okay.
And of course, it seems incredulous, it seems ridiculous, it seems somewhat humorous to some degree, because these things get turned into memes and what have you. But underlying there's clearly an issue with the state of play of sometimes many of our institutions. And we know that there are challenges. There's no doubt about that, the police services all around the Caribbean are dealing with an inordinate level of criminality. They, in some respects, are probably overburdened. They are being challenged. They're being stretched to the limits. And we're hearing the numbers all around the Caribbean. I think Jamaica, yesterday as well, I think had recorded about 33 or so homicides for the year. Don't know exactly what the figure is right now in the case of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, we're seeing what it is right here in the case of St. Lucia. And it means that all of these matters have to be searched, and amongst so many other crimes that the police have to be dealing with, or interventions that they have to be dealing with on a daily basis. And so then when you get issues like even, which are serious issues, somebody has broken into a house, has broken into somebody's home, into their sanctum, and they're looking for redress from the official authority responsibility for dealing with protection of life and property. And they're sometimes met with inaction or a certain level of attitude that does not seem to be very apathetic or caring, or empathetic, I should say, or caring towards their own plight. People end up becoming very much jaded, very much disinterested in going through official channels. And of course, that is part of the danger that we have to deal with when you are dealing with waves of crime, waves of criminality, and the institutions themselves, yes, being run by human beings with emotions and what have you, but the importance of professionalism and discipline within this these institutions is very, very, very important. And so we certainly have to do whatever can be done to be able to support these institutions, especially in terms of the human element within these institutions, who are under a lot of pressure, no doubt about it, but certainly need more training. They certainly need more opportunity for professional development, and to ensure that we also have within these institutions standards that are in fact going to be upheld, and so that people can have confidence in the service that is being afforded for their own protection. So it is certainly a very complex task with many different aspects to it, and we do hope that we are going to be taking the matter of law and order continuously very, very serious. It is, of course, the first charge of any state, the maintenance of law and order. But enough for that today. In just a bit, we're going to be coming back to the show so that we can have a conversation with Mr. Dennis Springer. We'll be right back.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Tip, all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Grozile, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to our program here at Radio Caribbean International. It's 124, and of course we are into a brand new year, 2024, and very pleased to have a very regular friend of the program, Mr. Dennis Springer, to be able to join us for the first time for this year. Of course, to touch on the matter of a lot of geopolitics that is certainly impacting the world right about now. Dennis, first let me welcome you to the program, and of course, a happy 2024.
The same to you, same to you. I want to wish all St. Lucians a happy new year. And we want 24 to be a year when we put matters to rest in terms of seeing St. Lucia moving forward. And I'm using the word moving forward in a strange manner, because there is such a program called Moving Forward. So we will be moving forward this year without a doubt, and a lot of people must come to the realization that St. Lucia was left almost penniless, and this government had a lot to do to more so to get the confidence of people to lend us the money, like the World Bank and others. And the Prime Minister has done that in a majestic manner, and they have faith and confidence in him. So for me, the new year will be a good one, and I just hope that, because I know now they're into budget, so for 24-25, so I'm looking forward to a good budget in March, April, and also that this year we'll see a lot of changes that people want.
Indeed. Now, Dennis, the world right now is definitely, one could say, a very tumultuous place. It's a changing place. We're seeing, of course, the tussle for power that is going on, and people trying to take certain advantage of whatever it may be, and sometimes even the creation of issues that may have been long gone, long dead. We thought it long resolved, resurging again after decades sometimes, or maybe even hundreds of years. And we're seeing that all over the world. We're seeing that, in Venezuela, Essequibo, Guyana.
Yes.
We're seeing that with the continued,
yes.
the situation with,
Iran.
first and foremost, with with Israel
Yes,
and the Palestinian
Yes.
situation, and how that is spreading into the Red Sea of the Yemen and
Exactly.
the Houthis
Yes,
and
yes.
the influence of Iran. And we're also seeing it, of course, in Asia,
Africa.
and Africa as well. All over the world, we're seeing, interesting at a time where we're being told that we have the most countries ever going to the polls at one time in
Yes,
this year,
this year.
2024.
Quite a few.
And one could say maybe a year of democracy, but yet still within that year of democracy, we're seeing a year of conflict, of rising conflicts all around the world.
Well, as we all know, what has happened in Taiwan is that the DPP has now got a third term in office, unprecedented, so they say. But we must remember when Taiwan actually became really more of a democratic country, because Chiang Kai-shek before, ruled Taiwan with an iron fist, almost a totalitarian society, so to speak, because he was autocratic, But the thing is, what we saw was, again, people say that it shouldn't happen because China themselves are saying that the rest of the world should not interfere in China's problems, or because Taiwan is supposed to be their problem, so to speak. But it's not, really, because you've never ruled Taiwan. And Taiwan has ruled itself for nearly 70 years. And we can go back, to the days of 1911, what came about in China at the time, with Sun Yat-sen. And consequently, I think a lot of people don't know the background of that history. So when I am hearing that Taiwan belongs to us, I really do get upset, because Taiwan really, in truth and in fact, belonged to the Aboriginal people. You know what I mean? The so-called, they used to call them the mountain people.
Right. But
And
before Dennis, we even get into the matter of Taiwan
Yes.
and its internal politics
Yes.
and how that might, in fact,
Yes, indeed.
impact relations with some other countries. And even from a contextual perspective,
Mm-hmm.
Asia represents, 60% of the world's population.
Correct,
And
correct.
and perhaps one may say, well, the world is not measured in people, but in dollars.
But of course,
And US dollars. But even now, we're seeing that the proportion of the world economy is also shifting towards Asia, is shifting east. But from a diplomatic perspective, from a perspective of our own understanding of the world, what we consume come from the outside of the world, in terms of media influence, we certainly haven't really shifted.
No, we have.
I mean, we still pretty much, you'll have an embassy, a high commission in London, in Canada, in the United States, and in these places, but we haven't really shifted very much in terms of our eyes and gaze sufficiently towards Asia and Africa, have we?
No, we haven't. And sometimes even when foreign governments help us, we just look at the help they give. We don't even really think of, their position. Even looking at the people who lived in that area, are they well off? Are they? There are so many poor people in the same countries. We don't know these things. We don't think. It's all we think about is what is given to us. But it is given to us sometimes for a purpose. And I don't think that we have come to realize that. And not only that, I don't believe that we should be taking help from anyone without finding out about them and knowing where they come from, who they are. All these things are very, very, very important because now what you see is a lot of shifting going on, a global shift I'm talking about. And consequently, I think that is the problem that the world faces. That is why we have so many problems, in the world, because everybody thinks that they can fool each other. That's how I see it. You see it with France and Africa. Mm-hmm. You're seeing it right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't even know that is taking place, and the French people are very upset, So it is something that we I have to find out a little bit about, because even looking at Japan, what is happening now in Japan? Japan poor is really getting poorer. People don't even realize that. There are certain people sleeping on the streets now. That is unheard of. Yet Japan is one that gives us help, and then we can go to Taiwan, and Taiwan is doing so, because a lot of people don't even know how Taiwan needed American help after the war, the Second World War, and they were given at least $100 million every year, to sustain. And as you know, in 1949, Chiang Kai-shek came to Taiwan, and they had to forewarn him that we're giving you that money, but to develop Taiwan. Because if you use it for military purposes to go back to China, we will withdraw that amount of money. So finally, he had to think of home and working towards Taiwan, because that's where he went, to move away from Mao Zedong. So the thing is, I always say that I don't like speaking about countries and I know nothing about them. In Europe, I think I know a lot of. You just spoke about crime. But do you know that one of the worst crime places in Europe now, which was one of the quietest places, is Sweden?
Sweden, yes.
Oh, you found that out?
Yes, certainly. I've been hearing about it.
Because I was shocked. I was shocked.
Well, and of course, you've got a lot of demographic changes
yes.
happening too. A lot of influx of new immigrant populations, and how they in fact are being assimilated into the society is very, very much conflicting, and no longer is it this sort of homogenous society.
This is a serious problem, because why? And a lot of people don't even realize that even in Ukraine, a lot of Ukrainians have moved around the world now, because they didn't want to be part of. And not only that, the young men didn't want to be part of the fight in China also. A lot of people don't know that also. Russia, another place again. So when you're looking at all of these things, you can see the demographic changes that are taking place. And people are moving around. So when we say the global world, it is now the global world, because you have so many different people who have moved into your country. And Africa is finding that out right now. So they don't know how to deal with it.
But speaking to the Caribbean, though, Dennis, and when you think about it through the annals of history, have we effectively become accustomed of becoming beneficiaries to conflict? And by that I mean, you look at, even a lot of what was done here in St. Lucia in the colonial days were really about the conflicts between, let's say, England and France. You move on now into the Cold War era of USSR and the United States, and there was lots of interest between these two players of what was going on in the Caribbean because of proximity and the possibilities of utilizing the Caribbean as a base of operation. And of course we've now looked at seeing, well, how can we now benefit from the, somewhat Cold War, so to speak, of Taiwan and China. And of course that has led to, this sort of a war or trade war of diplomatic allegiance, this side trying to outpay another side to gain support.
But dealing with the Caribbean, have we really taken into what Marcus Garvey was trying to achieve? And this is what Marcus Garvey probably foresaw. And then we heard Bob Marley in his song, Release Ourselves from Mental Slavery. You can look at the Caribbean and you could see that is almost, and I hate to say that now, even our government is a replication of who the Europeans were. Because when we look at our constitution was made by Mandarins in Whitehall with the expectation that, the European heads of state would still be here. That's the governor, the this, the that. It was not made for us. So therefore, when the late Judge Suti Dove was working on that constitutional reform, we should have gone ahead with that, because that was natural, because that would have been of the people. That would have probably given us a change, a mindset. But it didn't. And consequently, we are saying us, which is the same thing in Africa with the French. They still have a lot of the French way of life because it's inculcated in them. It's bred in them. And consequently, this is causing a lot of problems. Today, people are asking, even Jamaica, who does Jamaica belong to? Is it to the Chinese? You know what I mean? And people are asking that. Does Jamaica belong? Because the Chinese are using that. They're so close to America. There they have Japan. They have countries in the Caribbean that they can use, South America also, so that they are close to the Americans. But the Americans are now wise to that. You know, even the thing that we call the South China Sea with the Philippines. And they're making sure that, you probably don't realize it, they are now filling up the Philippines with equipment, military equipment.
Yes.
And it is unbelievable because they realize that's the only way, and that's the gateway. The Philippines play a major part in that area of the world. People say Taiwan, yes, but the Philippines can protect Taiwan, funny enough. You know, so there you are.
Indeed. We're going to have to put a pause on that for just
Yes.
a bit, Dennis,
Yes.
because we're going to take in our weather report. We've seen
Right.
a bit of rain going on out there.
Oh,
It's
good
rather
Lord, yes.
unseasonal for the time, but so we're going to get a bit of
That's what I thought this morning.
an update on it.
That's
Yes,
what I thought this morning. I said,
indeed.
what is going on? You know, again, the climate change is taking place.
Maybe so. So we're going to head across to get our weather report for 12 noon.
Island style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive. In island style.
We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality price, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And also, of course, to the 1.1 is now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour. A occasional gust. Weather partly cloudy to cloudy and breezy with scattered showers which may be heavy in some locations. And there is an advisory in here which reads small craft operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to brisk winds and locally rough seas. The forecast for the West Antilles, partly cloudy and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with scattered showers. And the weather summary. The Atlantic high pressure system will continue to generate moderate to brisk northeasterly and easterly winds across. I'm going to read this one more time. The Atlantic high pressure system will continue to generate moderate to brisk northeasterly to easterly winds across and locally rough seas around the West Antilles during the next few days. Patches of low level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause occasional cloudy periods with scattered showers over the eastern Caribbean region during the next 24 hours. And this was a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar.
This has been RCI Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in island style.
We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It's about 17 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock. And we're discussing with our political scientist, Mr. Dennis Springer, some matter of where the world is at and where we are heading for 2024 and beyond. And in particular, looking at the outcome of the recently held Taiwan general elections. Of course, just trying to get some context into it, though, and in terms of the world at play right now. China is, of course, this ascending power. Even today, I was just hearing that there are more Chinese traveling than persons from the United States of America, outbound travelers at this point in time, and they're actually spending more in the U.S. Around the world at this point in time. It's going to show that it has just another example of the shift that has occurred in the world economy and world influence.
But having said that, we have to take into consideration that a lot of big firms are now moving out of China, because you can look at Beijing and you can look at Shanghai. They're almost empty. Unemployment is now getting out of hand, and how Xi Jinping, deals with it is something else. But to be honest with you, and one must realize the importance of Taiwan, especially with microchips and things of that sort. It produces probably semiconductors and things of that sort. Nearly 60% of the world's semiconductors and microchips and things of that sort. So consequently, TSMC have now moved out of China, so to speak. But not only them, you find all the top producers where you could say, well, made in China, but from those top manufacturers of the world, and consequently they're moving out. China does not know how to deal with this, and this is the thing that a lot of people may not realize: is China's poor are really, really poor. There is what one would term in the going into the provinces of China, abject poverty. I mean abject poverty. Yet, and people now who have saved their money and things like that are finding out when they go to the banks now are in trouble. Even those who bought homes, the homes are first poorly built, but the other thing is they are finding that they cannot get the apartment that they've bought and things of that sort because the people who are dealing with that have gone bankrupt.
But that may be so, Dennis, but the reality still stands that it is the most populous country in the world.
But
it's
the biggest
second
population also.
Second largest economy in the world.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's very clear that lots of people have said it's been a hard couple of years for them coming out of COVID.
But they said the GDP was 3.2% in COVID, and now the GDP is 5.2%. But is that correct?
Well, and of course, the figures are always somewhat questionable, as people say, in terms of China. But it is a mammoth entity that's certainly not going to be going away. And the reality is, everybody else realizes that, whether it's the United States, Europe, they all, of course, are keeping, very strong presence in China. They're still depending on China, and China itself is in fact becoming a wealthier place overall. So the question is, though, I mean, in terms of moving now into another era, as you rightfully pointed out, we're seeing 3 straight consecutive terms in Taiwan of a party that has many members who generally ascribe to being pro-independence. That certainly has not warmed things up in terms of relations between China and Taiwan.
But you see, they're afraid of Lai, and that is why they put in so much money into the KMT representative, because they see Lai as a threat to democracy. In other words, not only to democracy, but to independence. So they think, because don't forget, many years ago, he was firmly involved in Taiwan's independence. So they see him as a threat. So consequently, because of that, they tried their best, even cyber attacks, to make sure that he did not win. But remember, too, that you suddenly had a third party.
Right, and in fact, quite interesting enough, that third part, the Taiwan People's Party,
yes,
it's their second election. They seem to have done fairly well, considering that
because you see, the youth went to them.
The
youth vote.
Their presidential candidate, I think, got over 20% of the vote. I think 26?
No, he got 28%.
28% of the popular turnout.
Yes.
In that during election. I mean, and to compare it with Lai got 40%, but he's the winner because he got
40.5%.
40.5%. But interesting enough, in that situation, as you're mentioning right now in the TPP, is that they're somewhat kingbreakers in the legislative one.
They
hold.
That's right. Because it's 50, 51,
52.
No, 50, 51. And then you have 2 independent, and then
eight
yes.
From the TPP. So they pretty much are going to be determining
the balance
of power in the parliament,
the legislature. Yeah. But when I think about it, people have to realize that is what democracy is all about. And when you talk about democracy per se, Taiwan has what one would term a vibrant democracy. But the thing is, China wants to interfere. Why? Because they think they have the right. Look at this. Blinken sent to congratulate Lai, but also Marcos from the Philippines. And China got very upset because they said they were interfering in, as though, Taiwan belongs to them, and consequently you're interfering in the internal affair. In what way? That's between you and I. That's what upsets me.
But to the average Taiwanese, I mean, they have generally zoned out those types of commentaries by China at this point in time. Chinese administration is almost expected to make those kind of statements.
But there's a sort of intimidation that is going on right now. It's unknown before, and that is long before the election.
Although it seemed to have calmed down, I was told
after Pelosi,
just during the
visit.
but just before the election
yes.
itself,
yes.
far fewer
because they were so
flights,
sure. They were so sure that their KMT chap would win. Because even someone from here gave that impression also too, because as though that the momentum is now built up and they're taking over, because I read that.
But then is, and this is the big question about the whole situation. At the end of it all, William Lai did not get an outright majority. He got 40% of the vote. 40.5% of the vote. Yeah. There was that attempt between the KMT and the TPP to come together. They were not able to achieve that.
You know why?
Had it been achieved?
Because ex-President Ma spoiled it all. Because he's saying that Taiwan belongs to China. And how can you tell me that when the Sunflower Movement, which were the youth of Taiwan,
and which came out during his term in office.
Mm-hmm. Because they found that they were getting too close to China, and China would take over Because Ma, I'm sure, and people don't understand, there is such a thing in China that they call the yellow emperor. That is a fake, so to speak. It's just a like for example, even our Christmas and New Year festivities with jab, when we play jab and all these sorts of things. It's not a real thing. Yet he believes in it. And he believes there was a yellow emperor who was almost godly. Therefore, China is a godly place, as far as I'm concerned, when you read it. And consequently, he did his utmost best, even when he was in Singapore. When he asked Xi Jinping to remove, say, for example, the ballistic missiles that was pointing at Taiwan, he ignored him, just to show good faith. He didn't see that as good faith. He said it was there to protect Taiwan. You're aiming at Taiwan, but it is to protect them. It didn't make sense. But Ma just accepted that, and he played second fiddle to it.
That may be so, but the big question then, though,
Yes.
is, let's say he didn't say some of the things that he did in fact say. Had there in fact been just a two-party fight between the DPP and a KMT, TPP, or just a KMT, whatever the case may be, it stands to reason that the DPP may not in fact have won this last poll. And does that suggest that there in fact is a sufficient amount of trepidation amongst the overall population of Taiwan as to some of the stances of the DPP with respect to towards the relationship with China?
The way I see it, with the question that you put in, is that if there was a two-party and it was between the KMT and the DPP would have won handsomely, because I'll tell you why. The youth of Taiwan would have voted the DPP instead of the KMT. Why? Because they see themselves as Taiwanese. Now, if with the TPP coming on board, they move to the TPP. Their movement there was enormous to a lot of people, because prior to that they would have voted, say, DPP. And not to forget that the youth is also saying that unemployment is too high for them. Not only that, a lot of them would like to be able to buy their homes and things of that sort. They're saying wages have not gone up sufficiently, right? The youth are saying that. So they thought by being with the TPP now,
But
third party, maybe
is the
that would help.
TPP more likely not to be supportive of KMT policies? Because, I mean, from what I've heard of their leader, Ko, he has suggested that he's not interested in working with the DPP. They're the last resort for him.
Yes.
And so chances are, in fact, it's going to be a very hard 4 years for the William Lai and his cabinet, and trying to work through what they need to get done in terms of legislation.
But you could see already what William will be in office in May. But you could see already that he's already putting things in place to be able to work with Ko, And I believe that here again we're going to see real democracy, so to speak. And I'm sure that the KMT already, you could see infighting. I don't know if you read it. Infighting within the KMT. Now, how long is that going to last? It is the problem, a serious problem.
The message from the United States, they are not in support of Taiwanese independence.
Yes.
They've said so very clearly.
But they had to.
Obviously, they're being very careful. It's an election year in the United States as well.
Exactly.
They made sure that there's no current sitting representatives, high-level representatives heading to Taiwan, like what we saw with Nancy Pelosi. That I think the highest ranking individual who went was a former national security advisor.
Recently,
just after the election.
Yes.
So clearly they're making it very clear that they are not looking for another conflict.
But if that is so, why is China so upset about Blinken and Marcos sending their congratulations to Lai, if that is the case. And China is saying that America and the Philippines are interfering in an internal affair.
There is some school of thought that Xi Jinping has, regardless of whatever the internal politics of Taiwan is, whichever party is in power, he has certainly gotten a certain time frame in mind. I think some people have said 2026, 2027, within which there is that somewhat belief that China will have sufficient strength and military capacity to be able to effect a military invasion.
But that is what is the problem now with Xi Jinping, is that they're finding that out that a lot of the things that they thought that they had in place, military equipment and things of that sort, they are very poor. Even some missiles with water in it.
The whole
and
matter
things.
of the whole
Yes.
scandal
Yes.
in the military at this
exactly.
point.
And he's getting rid of so many. And a lot of high-ranking, that is. And a lot of problems now are emanating out of all of this. So the point is, what I'm finding out is the military is making it clear that they're not prepared to invade Taiwan at any time. And some of them are looking, if that ever happens, to 50 years' time. Well, to me, by that time, with the internal problems that are now arising in China, you will find that Xi Jinping has a lot on his hands. He might not even, because now, from what I'm hearing, he has the strong-armed people, security, all around him. So consequently, he knows that the ordinary people who have lost so much money in the banks and different places, and now a lot of them out of a job, they are now are preparing to bring up, or an uprising is probably imminent, so to speak. So when we're talking about invading Taiwan too, remember, the Americans are talking, but they are really giving Taiwan the military equipment that they need to protect themselves. Taiwan is buying it from them. Remember that. But this is so.
But of course, there are issues there as well in terms
missiles.
of the types of equipment, and there have been some disagreements between the U.S. officials and Taiwan.
That was only under
helicopters.
Obama. Under Obama, Obama was very careful about that. But right now, Taiwan is getting mostly. The only thing that they're not getting is the F-35s.
Just a few days after the election, we saw Nauru, which held diplomatic relations. That Pacific country, very small, of course, country, which did have long-standing relations with Taiwan. They have switched to China. That announcement coming. Do you see that? I mean, Taiwan is down to 12 diplomatic allies. Do you see a continuation of that slide during this upcoming Lai term in office?
No, I don't see that. I'll tell you why. Because China now, what China does really, it is not really helping the inhabitants of this or the population of the country. What they're doing is helping the so-called politicians.
We've got a call. We're trying to at least try to take in one call. I'm not sure if it's still coming on. Looks like we've actually lost that call.
Oh, shucks.
But you're pointing out that you don't believe that the 12 remaining allies are going to be poached by China.
Because what we are seeing is that some countries, even though they're not saying that they are supporting them, they are now moving away from China per se.
Let's take in at least one call, Dennis. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. And
Good
what's on your
afternoon,
plate today?
Mr. George.
How are you doing, caller?
Not too bad. Listen to what's going on there right now. China is not building up for Taiwan. China is building up for America. All what China is doing now is to build a force, build a massive force. And even in the sea, in the air, when they're ready, they know when they will be ready, is to take America.
And you think that Taiwan is a test case?
Taiwan? Well, Taiwan is just next to China. They don't have far to go.
But
they
what,
can
what would be
go
what would be the
take Taiwan
benefit?
anytime they're ready.
What would be the benefit?
You're talking about trillions of people, and the armed force will be probably more than the majority of the Taiwanese.
All right. Well, thanks for that commentary, caller. Very much an interesting one. But we're going to have to end that one now because we're already tight for time, okay. Dennis. But overall, this fear of a World War III scenario, I think we can see obviously both sides seemingly not wanting to have any kind of direct conflict.
I don't think that you'd see that dealing with Taiwan. You may see a world war, but it would be not dealing with Taiwan, because when you look outside now, outside that time frame, you are seeing what is now happening in that with Iran and the Houthis and the Israelites and things like that sort. That may develop and get even worse, especially when you are talking about America getting involved, Britain getting involved. So you could see now, they themselves now worried that is where the war will be, because Iran is involved there, So to be honest with you, I think that China has too much to lose with Taiwan. Because don't forget that a lot, even now, Taiwan deals a lot with China.
It's the largest trading partner.
Exactly. So regardless what people think. And I don't think Xi Jinping is that stupid.
But that's a very important question which we can probably end on.
Yes.
Is China more important to Taiwan than Taiwan to China?
No, they're important to each other. That's how I see it. They depend on Taiwan. Don't forget that, as I said, microchips, all the semiconductors are moving away from China, going back to Taiwan and other places of the world. So they are now, whatever they are building, in terms of electrical equipment, they need those semiconductors. They need those, So if they don't have it, it's a serious problem.
Very interesting, Dennis. We're going to have to end it here, though, at this point in time. Maybe we'll have to bring you back to get your thoughts on the Middle East and that aspect and get into it a lot more and the world's response in regard to that. But that's all the time we have today at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Back again tomorrow, God willing, for another program. Hope you can join us for that. I'm your host, Calix Shaw Jr., saying goodbye.